everybody, Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. This one's a little bit different. This is a team battle report for the team game at Adepticon. 'Tis I, Lord Tremendous, and the Punisher of the Ogre Cons and Kingdom of Equitaine, respectively. Yeah, that just happened. Sorry about that. Go ahead and lower the volume. Anyway, and I am going up against Sex Panther and Big Daddy of the Demon Legions and Vampire Coven, also respectively. These guys were great enough to put 2250 lists together to try to let me and Punisher try our 2250 lists out on them. So we weren't completely green when we went to Adepticon and played in a team game. So yeah, it's an interesting game to say the least. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see how this one goes. Okay, so usually this is the part where I put my list and possibly my opponent's list and stuff like that. There'd be music, there'd be fun, there'd be celebrations, but no. This is a team tournament at Adepticon, and my opponent didn't want me to put our lists up there. Yeah, you're gonna see them on the report. You could probably put together what they have. I'll probably tell you magic items that I'm using, but my opponent didn't want me to put this stuff up there, and I totally understand where he's coming from that. So there'll be no army lists this camp or this report. Sorry, you'll just have to be entertained in other ways. Here are my spells. I got Hand of Heaven, Speaking in Tongues, and Wrath of God. I'm excited about having Wrath of God again for obvious reasons. Speaking in Tongues, I don't know. I don't see how not being able to use the Inspiring Presence is going to help me in this one, but I'm going to watch for it, and if I see an opportunity, I will try to cast it. And Hand of Heaven, who doesn't like a good magic missile? Here's deployment, and for the most part, I believe we just kind of placed all of our stuff first. We won the roll to decide who deploys first, or I'm sorry, our opponents did, and they said we could deploy first, so we kind of did. I put my Tusker Cav, I just got a couple of them with great weapons, way over there on the left side, figured they could run down there faster than anything else and try to destroy it. That rock between them and Lord Tremendous is impassable, so Lord Tremendous is on the other side to either back them up or go after a target opportunity. I've got the good old boys, just 8 solid good old boys, ready to go forward and slam into anything that needs crumping. Behind them is Skaz. He's the general of this army, and yeah, I know that's dangerous, but hey, Skaz gets his time to shine too. And then I brought Elf Eater and Shyhammer, because I figured if Shyhammer, Skaz, and Lord Tremendous can't take out my opponents, then nothing could, and they deserve to win. My partner's got a big old unit of Crusaders. He's got a couple of Lances and some Yeomen. I don't believe any of us have any Scouts. I couldn't find the points. On the opposite end there, the Undead, for the most part, have lined up across from me. There is a unit of Beast Herd guys in there with great weapons, I believe. And, I mean, it's going to be a tough battle, but it's interesting because the Undead army doesn't have any magic at all. Just the Beast Herd guy brought a single caster. I believe he's got 4 learned spells, and I believe he's using Shamanism. I want to say that's what he's using. Yeah, that is what he's using. So it's going to be an interesting game. I've never played against an opponent that used Shamanism, so it'll be interesting to be on this side of the table. But that's it for deployment. Here's top of 1 after movement, and I'm not overly concerned. There was some Vanguard that I missed. His dogs, his direwolves did move up, like, just on the skirt of the water terrain right there, so he didn't have to worry about, like, not being able to march or anything. Not that it really matters, he's undead, but you get my point. My Tusker Cav did try to charge the direwolves and failed, so they moved up right there. They missed it by about 3 inches, but it would have been cool if they made it in there, been able to blow through, and I'd have somebody in his back rank. I believe the secondary objective was breakthrough as well, so that would have been cool to have him back there. But it didn't work out, so it is what it is. Lord Tremendous Skaz and the good old boys move up because there's a lot of undead cavalry over there that I need to start whittling down as soon as possible. I also want to get a magic missile off, so I had to move Skaz up pretty close in order to do that within 24 inches. Elf Eater moves up slightly, and my partner's army just completely, he goes, no, balls in. And even his yeomen run up to try to redirect some of the Beast Herd guys. So, should be a quick and fun game. But that's it for movement. There's a better picture of my Tusker Cav failing that charge, which, again, it's too bad they didn't make it, but it's not, like, game-changing. During the magic phase, I'm able to get Wrath of the Gods off, and I put it kind of in front of his cavalry. That's where I need the most damage done because, I mean, let's face it, they got a huge armor save, so I need to do as much damage to them as I can before I see him in close combat. So I put it slightly in front of him. I didn't want to put it too far in front of him. I didn't want to put it too far away. I wanted him to move, but I didn't want him to move. I'm still trying to figure out that sweet spot for where to put the Wraths of Gods, the Comets, or whatever you want to call them. I'm thinking this is a good placement for them. We'll find out in a turn or two. Moving right along, here's bottom of one after movement, and really the only thing that happened is the Minotaurs charged after my partner's yeoman, and they fled. He tried to redirect into the peasants and missed it by a mile, so he came forward just a little bit. The yeoman got away. And the rest of his stuff just kind of postures a little bit. His dogs on the left side there, Big Daddy's dogs back up. The Sex Panthers Beast Herd guys move into the forest because they got Forest Strider and they like being in the woods. And the undead guys kind of traffic jam. They don't want to get any closer to the token. They can't really get away from it. So he reforms his zombies like so. And that's really it. The Minotaurs fail their charge. The other unit of Beast Herd guys kind of stay where they are for the most part. And his skirmishing unit with bows dive into the ruins to take pot shots at the King of Ekotang guys. That's really it for movement. There's a better picture of the Minotaurs failing that charge, and that's a good thing. The Minotaurs are incredibly dangerous. Those particular Minotaurs have great weapons, so they're not as dangerous as the pair weapons ones. But yeah, yeah, still a huge danger if you don't go into them with respect. Do you know what I mean? Nothing happens in the magic phase. The comet doesn't come down or anything like that, so we go into shooting. And the beast herd skirmishing guys in the ruins fire at the yeoman and kill one or two of them off. Not that it matters, not like they're going to panic or anything like that, but it does kill off a couple of my partner's redirectors, and that's kind of what they're for, but at the same time, it's not. So, sucks, but what can you do? With no combat, we go over here to top of two after movement, and there will be combat. Not exactly planned, though. So, Elf Eater, I didn't want to charge. And unfortunately, the Beast Herd guys in the forest were in range, so I had to roll to see if he succumbed to frenzy, and he did, which sucked. So he charged in. I didn't want him to be there because it's just too easy of an overrun, so I charged with Lord Tremendous and I charged with the Tusker Cav. The idea was one or the other would make it in, probably not both. I probably shouldn't have charged with the Tusker Cav, but I panicked. Everybody makes it in. Then I screw up again. I take Dangerous Terrain with Elf Eater. I didn't need to do that, and I put 2 wounds on him because I'm stupid. Lord Tremendous and the Tusker Cav, however, did need to take Dangerous Terrain because they're monstrous Cav going into a forest. Lord Tremendous takes 2. Yeah. And the Tusker Cav take 1. It is what it is. When I screw up, I go all in. Meanwhile, a lance of the KoE guys go into the Minotaurs as well as the the crusading peasants or whatever. They go into the Minotaurs. He's going to try to clean that guy out in one fell swoop. His yeomen rally and are able to run up and block the other unit of Beast Herd infantry. And his BSB lance, he just kind of stands there. I think he got Break the Spirit off on him in the last magic phase, and I just forgot. But for the most part, he didn't really need to move him or anything like that because he was just going to use him for the BSB stand your ground rule. Other than that, I'm really nervous about having Elf Eater over there because he's an inch away from the damn comet. I didn't want him there. I didn't have a choice. Failed Frenzy, had to charge that unit. I don't know. I made a mistake here, and I know it, and it's still eating at me. But that's it for movement. Here's a better picture of everybody slamming into this unit, and I should be able to destroy it, provided the comet doesn't destroy all of us. And there's a better picture of my teammates slamming into the Minotaurs with the Lance and the Peasants, and that should go well for them. There's hatred in the Peasant unit. The Lances are going to hit like a friggin' hammer, so hopefully by the time the Minotaurs get to go, most of them will be dead. During a magic phase, I'm able to get the number 1 spell off on these knights right here, and I'm able to just plink off one of them, which isn't terrible. I'll take what I can get. And then the comet comes crashing down. In his knight unit on the right there, the undead one, four of them die. His vampiric knights, two of them die, and one's carrying a wound, and Elf Eater takes 3 wounds. That should be all the wounds he has on him, but I'm stupid and took dangerous terrain because I always forget that damn rule. And so, yeah, the comet came down and blew up a bunch of knights and hurt Elf Eater pretty good. Oh, it also took out 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 of the little beast herd infantry guys, which was pretty fantastic. That was all it did, but I'm glad it came down. I just wish Elf Eater could have controlled himself for one more turn. We go into combat, and yeah, as you can see, these guys decimated the Minotaurs. The peasants took no damage whatsoever. I think one knight died from his lance, and that's it. The Minotaurs, I think I think maybe just a character got to swing back, and he flubbed pretty bad, and everything else my partner was able to save with ward saves, with the exception of the one knight that died. I mean, it was brutal. The remaining Minotaur broke, fled, and got ran down, and both units pursued, and that's where they ended up. And it's a good start to the combat. The ensuing panic check that was caused by the Minotaurs breaking caused the Beast Herd unit, the infantry unit, to break. They did take a few wounds. I guess the Yeoman threw some weapons at them, I think. But anyway, that doesn't matter. They broke, and they had the break from the closest enemy unit, which was the Yeoman at the time, and that's the reason they ran that direction. We did it a little out of sequence. We kind of screwed up. Our bad completely, but they would have been right there. The knights wouldn't have been affected by it or anything like that, so everything is still pretty much copacetic. It's just that's the way everything is. And then over here, yeah, we are able to just crush that unit. Impact hits alone killed off like 12 of them, 12 to 15, and then the attacks afterwards. We finished off that unit, no problem. Lord Tremendous stays exactly where he's at. The Tusker Cav reform, and Elf Eater has to overrun and stops in front of the Tusker Cav. This was a terrible, terrible charge for me, and I made it worse by sending in the Tusker Cav. But I did what I did, and I'm ashamed. So here's bottom of 2 after movement. And yeah, our opponents kind of countercharge intelligently. The Dire Wolves charge into the Tusker Cav, and I get why he did it. I do. It's just, I don't know. Big units of war beasts rarely do anything. I think he was counting on being able to go before them and possibly get some wounds through their 3-up armor. I don't know. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was just for fun. I'm a little confused, but at the same time, I guess I kind of get it. Also, his remaining vampiric knights, as well as his zombies, slam into Elf Eater, and all I can do is hope that Elf Eater is able to get some attacks off on the vampire knights before combat res kills him. But he's only got 1 wound left. The knights charge. They have lances. I'm mostly SOL here. Not to mention the character that he has in there, his general, has some, like, the giant blade on him or whatever, so he's strength 8 or something insane. So it's not looking good here at all for Elf Eater, and that's my own stupid fault. On the right side of the table, his other unit of knights, what's left of them, slam into the flank of the peasants, and that's not a bad call. And the Beast Herd infantry guys rally and turn to face the knights. That's it for movement. There's a better picture of the undead swarm charging my Tusker Cav and Elf Eater. Not looking good for Elf Eater, that's for damn sure. And there's a better picture of his other knights slamming into the flank of the peasants, as well as the Beast Herd infantry unit rallying. During the magic phase, he gets break the spirit off on my teammate's BSB Lance unit, but that's it. So we go into shooting, and his skirmishing unit in the ruins kill off the rest of the yeomen with their bows. Sucks, but I mean, again, that's kind of what they're for, so be it. We jump into combat, and those knights actually do a pretty impressive amount of damage to the peasants, all things considered. In return, the peasants aren't able to do anything back to them. I know it looks like they have spears and shields. They have paired weapons. So, yeah, those knights basically killed off 7 guys and took no damage in return. That unit's stubborn and makes its break check no problem, but it fails its check to turn to face. That sucks. So this combat's going to get kind of hairy. Then exactly what I was worried about happened. Elf Eater gets killed by the vampire knights before anything else can happen. It's my own stupid fault. He should not have had 2 wounds on him, but I am dumb and I keep forgetting he doesn't have to take dangerous terrain in the forest, and unfortunately I should have done better with facing him around with his frenzy checks. I got what I deserved here. Lord Tremendous does make his panic check from Elf Eater dying within 6, and then the Knights and the Zombies overrun, hit Lord Tremendous, and he's next in their highway to slaughter. And yes, he is taking dangerous terrain checks for going through the forest, overrunning, charging into it and stuff, and he's passing them, no problem. Wish I learned how to do that. And then right here, the Tusker Cav easily weather the attacks from the Dire Wolves, counterattack and smoke all but one of them. The resulting crumble check sees the remaining dog die, and then the Tusker Cav combat pivot. It's kind of important, right the way you're looking. So I'm not going to be able to get into the Knights, but I should be able to charge the Zombies, and if Lord Tremendous is still alive, maybe give him enough combat res to live a little bit longer. We'll see. So here we are on top of 3 after movement, and I countercharge. The Tusker Cav go into the Zombies, and of course I fail 2 more dangerous motherfucking terrain checks, and lose another motherfucking Tusker. God! Force do more damage to me than anything else. The good old boys make it into the Zombies as well. I'm trying to make it so Lord Tremendous survives this fight. It's not looking good. And my teammate charges into Sex Panther's remaining infantry block with his Knight Lance. Hope that works out for him. And his BSB's unit just kind of reforms because Break the Spirit's on him, and my partner doesn't want to take dangerous terrain checks because he sees how much they're devastating my stupid ass. And then Skaz runs over because he's given up on the left flank. He's going over to the right flank to try to deal with those skirmishers in the ruins. That's it for movement. There's a better picture of this combat over here getting out of hand. And there's a better picture of my teammate's other lance slamming into the infantry break and hopefully taking them out. There is no magic, there's no shooting, so we go straight into combat because, nothing happens in those phases. So we go into combat. Lord Tremendous ends up in a challenge with the Vampire General, who obliterates him, does 4 wounds. But the Tusker Cav and the good old boys are able to put enough zombies down that they win this combat. The zombies, there's still 5 or 8 of them left, or whatever it is after combat's over. But Lord Tremendous dies, and so the Vampiric Knights are out of combat, so they don't have to worry about crumble checks or anything like that, which sucks. I failed every save that Tremendous had to take. Eats at my soul. Never even got the opportunity to attack back. Here's where everything looks like, obviously, the Tusker Cav, I had him overrun because why not? I actually passed my dangerous terrain for a change, which is always good. The good old boys stay in combat with the zombies because that's what's left after crumble checks and everything like that. And then my opponent's Knights overran as well after killing Lord Tremendous and ended up right there. They wanted to go after Skaz and take him out, which I understand. They didn't want any more Wraths of God coming down. And he, once again, passes all of his dangerous terrain checks. Over here, once again, the Knights that slammed into the Beast Herds, those guys had great weapons. I didn't realize that. My opponent and my teammate both knew that, but I didn't. So the Lance slammed into them, flubbed spectacularly. They did kill some, but not nearly enough, and the counterattacks with hatred and everything like that saw the entire Lance unit get smashed, okay? He didn't even need to pursue. They killed every single Knight, and then combat pivoted to look at the peasants for next turn, which really sucks. Meanwhile, in the combat with the peasants themselves, with the Knights, more peasants die. The Knights take all their attacks back with ease. They win this combat. The peasants are still stubborn, and they make it. And once again, they do pass their check to reform. That's why they look so funny right now. But yeah, just crazy sauce. I don't even mind telling you. Now that this game's getting out of hand, here's bottom of 3 after movement. So my the Undead Knights kind of reform to look at Skaz, because obviously that's who they're going after. Is what's it called? The Beast Herd, the Sex Panther's infantry go into the peasants, and that's just smart. The skirmishing Beast Herd unit in the ruins come over to shoot at the BSB KoE unit. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is either dead or in combat. So if nothing else, this game has been brutal. There's a better picture of the Beast Herd Infantry unit getting into the peasants, and really going to have to make them earn that paycheck, it looks like. In the magic phase, our opponents are able to get off Break the Spirit on the peasant unit, not so much because of the movement penalty or anything like that, or the dangerous terrain, but for the -1 to hit. So, if anything, that's going to be the saving grace and help our opponents win this combat, which sucks, but they threw like 5 dice at it. What do you want me to do? With nothing really happening in shooting, we go into combat, and it's pretty friggin' brutal. The -1 to hit really, really hurt. Also, I believe this unit failed their fear check. So, needing 6 to hit was not a good look. They lose this combat. They lose another 8 or so models from the unit, but they're still stubborn. The Reliquary's still alive, even though it's starting to take wounds now. And they make their check, but we need to get stuff into this unit quick to help them out, or we're going to lose this flank as well, and probably the game. In combat over here, my good old boys are able to finish off the zombies. I know, I'm shocked too. And then they combat pivoted like this. I didn't think his knights were going to charge me in the rear because I was hoping to be into the other unit of knights, so I was okay with this. It was just, I was worried that my Tusker Cav was going to fail the charge or something like that, and then my good old boys would be stuck. But that's what happens after combat with the zombies. So we have a chance. Alright, so it's starting to get really ugly now. Here's top of 4 after movement. The good old boys and my remaining Tusker Cav charge the knights. I did see that the Tusker Cav could have charged into the infantry beast herd guys, but to be perfectly honest, with hatred and everything, I didn't think he'd have a chance in hell of even getting the swing. I thought he would get murdered by those guys. And so I put everything into the knights, hoping that impact hits and high strength attacks would start carving them away. Meanwhile, I believe my teammates' last unit of knights with his BSB charge into them as well. The hope is to demolish this unit of knights before they can do any more damage, and that the peasants and everything like that can take out the beast herd guys, the infantry, and then we can piecemeal take care of the vampiric knights, the skirmishers, and win the game. Skaz dives into the forest because I'm not stupid and I see the knights coming at me, and I don't want the skirmishing unit to have easy shots at them. I've only got the Dragon Bane gem on, or I'm sorry, Dragon Fire gem on them, so on him. So any wounds I get through are getting through. And that's it for movement. There's a better picture of the craziness that is this combat. It has really evolved into a slugfest. Pretty much everything that's combat-oriented left in both armies is right here, minus the Vampiric Knights. During the magic phase, Skaz calls down another Wrath of the Gods, and I put it right there in the ruins with the skirmishing unit. I want them out of there, mainly because I don't like that they're there anymore. I want them to move. I want my opponent to, be forced to move them, or if he forgets about them and the Wrath of the Gods comes down, they all get obliterated. Either way works. It's just I like the control that the Wrath gives me. Even if it doesn't come down, there's a solid 8-inch, diameter circle in there that nobody wants to be in, and I like that. I just got to learn how to better use it. There's no shooting, so we go straight into combat, and it's ugly. It is very, very ugly. I'm able to kill off the remaining knights in that unit. There's a character left, and that's it. However, it's pretty brutal. The peasants, a lot of them die. The Reliquary takes another wound. It's bad. It's really bad. My opponent actually wins this combat by 2. That's how many wounds he's able to do. Sucks. But the good old boys are no longer in combat. It's mostly my fault. I let my opponents place the Tusker Cav and the good old boys, and I didn't make sure that they were corner to corner with the character in that unit and everything. So once the unit died, the good old boys and the BSB KoE unit were no longer in combat. So it was just combat res that allowed them to stay. My Tusker Cav was still in combat, lost by 2, broke, and fled. The peasants stayed, but yeah, now I'm a little screwed, and not thrilled about that. Not thrilled about that at all. So here we are in bottom of 4, and the Vampiric Knights charge into the rear of the good old boys. I should have turned them to face. I don't know why I didn't. I think I was just mad. Meanwhile, the only other thing that really happens in movement is the skirmishing unit in the ruins move out. They try to march. No, wait, no, they don't even try to march. They just move forward a little bit and don't really get any further away from the wrath of the gods. So I'm okay with that. I think he just wanted to get close enough to shoot at Skaz. I think he figured they were dead, but if he could take out Skaz with them, it would be worth it. And that's it for movement. There's a better picture of his vampire knight guys slamming into the rear of the good old boys, and that was stupid of me. I shouldn't have done that. In our opponent's magic phase, he's able to get Break the Spirit off again on the peasants, but we let it go off because it was done with overwhelming power, and he rolled 5 dice to do it, okay? See where I'm going with this? So our opponent miscasts 20. I mean, full out explosion. He rolls on the chart, or he rolls the 4 up to see if his wizard just dies, and he rolls a 6. So yeah, his wizard explodes. He does a bunch of wounds to his infantry unit, and he doesn't have to worry about amnesia or the other one because the wizard's already dead. But yeah, the unit takes some damage, leaving 5 beast herd infantry left. So that really helps out. The unit's still going to need 5s or 6s to hit, but there's so few left that they should be able to survive long enough for one of our units to get in there, save them, and hopefully table our opponents. That's the hope, and that miscast definitely make it possible. Then, to add a little insult to injury, the Wrath of the Gods comes down and smashes into these skirmishers, killing 6 of them, 6 or 7, something like that, which is glorious. Works out quite nicely because the surviving skirmishers panic and flee like 4 inches. So, hey, at least they're not shooting next turn. We go into combat, and it's exactly what we had hoped for. The remaining Beast Herd infantry guys aren't able to really do as much. The knight isn't able to do that much. I think the reliquary takes 1 more wound. I think it's got maybe 1 or 2 left, but everyone's still stubborn. I think he kills 1 or 2 of the infantry left. He's not even bothered trying to get through the 1-up armor on the knight anymore. And they make their break check. Only 5 peasants die. He's got just enough to weather another round of combat, we hope. And they make their stubborn check and stick. So we have hope. That tar pit unit of his is amazing. He just put up with a lot of abuse and still has a lot left to give. I'm actually both respectful and terrified of it. Over here, things don't go well. I lose 2 tribesmen to the knights in my rear. I don't do anything back. He's able to make all of his saves. I'm stubborn, and I make my check. That's the only reason I'm still there. I'm sorry, not stubborn, steadfast. And then I make my check to turn and face, which is huge. Hopefully I can kill these guys or do something to them before they just vaporize my unit. At least now I get the parry. So we're coming down to it. Here's top of 5 after movement. There's not a ton. Skaz just kind of turns to face the skirmishers that are fleeing. The knights basically just stay right where they're at. He thought about charging his BSB out into the remaining undead knight, but decided against it at the last minute. And my Tusker Cav rallies, which really surprised me, and then reforms to face the, what's it called? The vampire knights that are into the good old boys. That's it for movement. During the magic phase, I try to get the magic missile off on the skirmishers, but they stop it, so I get another Wrath of the Gods off, and I put it right next to the skirmishers. The way I see it, if they flee, they're not going to flee that far, and if they rally, they can't go anywhere. So I'm kind of hoping he rallies. And if they do, hopefully in the magic phase, I am able to vaporize more of them, forcing another panic check, forcing them to flee again. I'm really enjoying Wrath of the Gods. Unfortunately, I had to do my obligatory miscast, and I miscast 16. I end up taking 3 wounds, and I'm able to get past the Witchfire, I'm able to get past everything else like that, and I'm able to survive, but just barely. Toughness 5 makes this guy go a long way. But, yeah, I'm still alive, just barely. But, you know what, I got Wrath of the Gods off, that's what's important. And, I'm trying, damn it, I'm trying. We go into combat, and it's still brutal. Parry really is telling, though. He does 4 wounds to me. I'm not able to do anything back, unfortunately. I do some wounds back, but he makes his armor saves like it's the only thing he's been doing his whole life. I lose a guy get another wound on another one, and I'm still steadfast, and I stick, but I'm starting to get real nervous. I've broke from much less than this, so I need help, or I'm going to lose the good old boys, and that's sad. Also, before I forget, I didn't get a picture of it, but you can kind of see in the top right. The peasants, I think all that's left is the reliquary. They didn't do anything back. It's really bad. Probably not going to survive another turn. But they held everything up for a long, long time, and it was points well spent. Hopefully the Knights can overrun, finish off everything, and win us this game. Here's bottom of 5 after movement, and there's really none. Everything that he has is in combat with the exception of the skirmishers, who do rally this turn, but they more or less stay right where they're at because all they can do is reform. I'm going to hit him with the comet. I really, really want to hit him with the comet anyway. So yeah, that's it for movement. Our opponents have no magic and no shooting, so we go straight into combat, and they finish off the reliquary, no problem. The vampire character turns to face the knights, and the little beast herd infantry guys stay right where they're at. That's it for that combat. It was well fought. The Crusader peasants really tried hard, and they did really, really well. Just unfortunately, it was too much for them to take until turn 6. Still, they did a lot of damage before they went. I'm very impressed with them. Over here is more of the same. I lose another tribesman. I do nothing in return because my opponent can make his armor saves, and I'm steadfast. Barely make my check, and we continue. I did try to reform, just for the record, and failed that leadership check. So it's getting real gnarly over here. So we're at top of 6 now after movement, and there's very, very little. The Tusker Calf slams into the flank of the Vampiric Knights. The KoE Knights slam into the Vampiric character, and Skaz runs out of the forest because I don't want to get hit by the, by the comet, which, as you can see, has another token on it because it didn't come down last turn. And I also don't want to be shot off the table. I've only got 1 wound left. He just has to get lucky once. But yeah, that's it for movement. There's a better picture of the Tusker Calf slamming into the Knights and the KoE Knights slamming into the character, and God, let's hope that goes well. During the magic phase, the only thing that happens is the Wrath of the Gods comes down, and I do 10 wounds to the skirmishing unit, vaporizing him off the table. It's one of the few things that happened during this game that was exactly according to plan. I must say, I like Thaumaturgy a lot. Definitely going to try it out some more before I make a final decision, but I'm enjoying it. Definitely enjoying it. So we go into combat, and it's like this combat's the only thing the Tusker Calf has ever done in its entire life. Impact hits, I get 3 of them. All 3 get through, okay? 1 was already carrying a wound, so 2 of these bastards die to impact hits. Couldn't believe my luck. So then we go into combat, and the Knight throws all of his attacks into the Tusker Calf. Only hits and wounds once or twice. So the Tusker Calf is still alive. All the remaining tribesmen and everybody else throws their attacks. I get 1 more wound through, doing decent amounts of damage to this Knight. So it's almost dead. I win this combat. I don't remember by exactly how much, but my opponent rolls like snake eyes and stays in there. But I'm able to reform my tribesmen as so, and even if he does take out my Tusker Calf next turn, I've got a really good chance of slipping a wound through on his last Knight. And he's only got 1 wound left. The dice got picked up. It'll be put back in a second. And killing these guys off, which would be a ton of points to swing in our favor. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. Then over here, I think the Knights are able to do like a wound to this guy. In return, he gets 2 put on him. So it's like charge, banner, rank, and maybe not even a wound. Maybe just charge 2 banners and a rank to 2 wounds. He lost by 2 and was okay. It's great. I don't remember exactly what happens here. I think we screw it up, but yeah, kind of sucks a little bit. And he doesn't break. He doesn't get run down. I think maybe we screwed up the crumble checks. I think he was rolling, but I'll take full blame for that. So we go to bottom of 6 after movement, and there's just none. Everything is in combat or dead, which makes this part kind of easy. Nothing happens in magic or shooting because there isn't any, so we go straight into combat, and my teammate is able to get 2 wounds through on this guy, or maybe not. Maybe he didn't get any wounds through. Those are the 2 wounds that happened last turn. He wasn't able to wound him or anything like that, but with Crumble, he took 2 wounds. He had 1 left. Well, this vampire goes crazy, kills the remaining knights in the unit, and I think does 2 wounds to the paladin. Something crazy happens. He wins this combat by a truckload. His BSB breaks, and he flees. He gets pursued, but he doesn't get caught, and that's where they end up. So we're going to give up half points for his paladin, but at least it's not all the points. Still, jeez, these undead characters can be a son of a bitch. Then over here, the vampire on the horse, he throws all his attacks into the tribesman, only hits once, and he fails to wound. He rolls a 1 to wound. We attack back, and the Tusker Cav, go figure, is the one that slices this thing into small, bite-sized pieces, killing the unit at the last minute and securing buku points. This was huge, and a real high note to end the game with. But there it is. There's the end of the game. As you can see, there's very little on either side. However, I still have a decent amount of points still left on the table, but my opponents really don't, and my teammate really doesn't. So it was really, really close. But man, was this an intense game, and it was really neat too. I like the mechanic of having a team game like that. It was very, very cool. But you know what? We'll get to the recap right away because this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
So in the end, it was a victory for the tremendous punishment that was Lord Tremendous and the Punisher. The good old boys' survival really sealed the victory. That's a lot of points there. It's like 700 points for those guys. But it was still pretty close. There was about 600 points between the 2 armies. It was looking to be more like a draw, but taking out that vampiric knight unit in the very last minute really sealed the deal. I ended up losing Lord Tremendous, Elf Eater, half points for Skaz, and half points for my Tusker Cav. I'm not going to get into how many points the other guys lost and won and gave up, just because it would take forever, and it's really not important. We won barely, but hey, win by the skin of your teeth is still a win. I do enjoy, like I said, the team games. It was very cool. Like I said, the aspect is neat, the way everything works is neat, and having somebody that can back you up, you can bounce ideas off of in the middle of a game is pretty cool. Beast herds are tough. I don't face this army enough, and both times I've run into them now in recent memory, I've got my teeth kicked down my throat by them. So I was lucky this time I had to go up against undead, but man, that could have went the other way real easy. An undead army with no magic was still very difficult to deal with. He wasn't bringing anything back, but he had so much high armor, it really didn't matter. I still don't have an answer to high armor, and I really need to figure one out. Speaking of that, though, Thaumaturgy, Wrath of the Gods, possibly my new favorite spell. It's fun not only for its damage output, but for its board control. I just wish I was better with it, which will come in time, hopefully. Some things went completely left field for me in this game. Elf Eater failing his frenzy check early in the game, putting him out of position, and then my compensating for it, that was really stupid and really hurt. I can't really fault his eagerness, but like I said, I really, really need a better answer to armor, and I don't know what to do about it. I'm working on it. I'll think of something, hopefully. And my teammate was an excellent partner. I mean, he really, really held his own up against some combined odds. I mean, he was going up against the Beast Herds and the Vampire Coven at the same time, while I was kind of piecemealing it against the Undead. So, yeah, he kind of carried me in this game, and I liked it. I like being carried. But this was a very unique game. The whole team thing is very different from a regular game, but it was still a very great game. These were great opponents. Thank you guys for putting those lists together and facing off against us. This was huge. My teammate's amazing. Like I said, I like being carried. He's got strong shoulders. And I really, really wish there was time for a rematch. I'm not going to be able to get a rematch in before we go to Adepticon, just with my schedule and everything, so this will be the last team game you see before Adepticon, and then you'll see, I think, three of them or something like that, and hopefully we finish high. That's the hope. Now I want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that supports me financially through Patreon, PayPal, and other means. I've got a lot of people that donate to me, and I really do appreciate all of them, most of which want to stay anonymous, and that's their right. However, these are the individuals that allow me to thank them properly, and I'm going to take that opportunity. Alex of the Vale Renegades, South Florida's Gamermancy team, Daniel Jolson, and Caillou Choi. Thank you guys, both anonymous and the ones that allow me to thank them properly. I really do appreciate your patronage, and I hope I continue to be worthy, even though sometimes I feel I'm not. No. The Tremendous Therapy Hour, brought to you by Patreon. Oh, leave me alone, I'm high on caffeine. Thanks though, guys, seriously, I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it. Battle Report number 62, officially in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But as always, guys, thanks.